if I told you I could offer you something that would enable you to walk again? I call it STEM, a computer chip that has the potential to change everything. It's a new, better brain. Oh my God.
I am STEM, the system operating your body for you.
Intel technicians have been making PCs smarter. Now they face their greatest challenge ever.
Hey, no one messes with my brain until I get sprinkles. Suckers.
Now anyone can have all the brain power they want. Just look for a PC with an Intel processor inside.
By eliminating covalence inhibitors, we create triple-dense carbohydrates and thus the so-called super donut. Ooh. Many of you mock my interest in the pastry sciences.
What do you have inside?
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to witness is no illusion.
Hi, this is Nicholson 1968. Welcome to my new project, Illuminati's Bedtime Stories You Never Heard. I want to start off with subs, followers have emailed me hundreds of Nicholson, will you break down Childhood's End, the sci-fi TV series. I just want to let you know I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's some great breakdowns out there by A Face Like the Sun, Enter the Stars, Scariest Movie Ever. It's all basically the same. I'm not just going to regurgitate it to you guys. They've done well. It's on my websites. I support them and share those videos at my website that you can see. So I'm not going to do that, but this will complement, per se, their videos. And it's basically Childhood's End is a story telling you that there is a delusion coming, and it's based off of scripture, 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 12 in that area, and I'll read this to you to get started to kind of set the precedence for the rest of this video. And these are the words. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God, the Creator, shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. And this is the basis for that TV series, and a lot of the propaganda that is coming out by the movies and the music videos is people don't want to believe the truth. The things that we're sharing, that people say we're the kooky ones, we're the tinfoil hat, we're the remnant sharing the truth with you. And we've been telling you over the years, some longer than others, but in Childhood's End is basically, in the future, technology will be part of this deception and the savior of humanity. Some form or fashion, through transhumanism, you can live longer, live forever. The technology is from aliens. There is no creator, there is no God. We have been genetically created by aliens from other planets. Thus the lie of NASA, that's a whole nother subject, but which plays into that part of this deception on humanity. But I'm going to start with a project that is between Intel and Lady Gaga. I don't need to say anything more than that, really, to just tell you. Between those two, you can just imagine. But I'm going to play this commercial that's going to be coming up for the 58th Grammy Awards between these two that have collaborated. And let me tell you something. For you guys who are following me, you will say to yourself, you'll know what I've been telling you is the truth, because I've been showing you this stuff for a long time. If this is a new video for you, you will think that I've copied them. But go back and look at my videos. Here's what's funny. Go look in my videos and what I show you, and now this is coming out in 2016. It's the other way around. I am being shown something. I'm leading, I'm not following. I'm not watching somebody else's videos or getting it from some documentary. This is stuff being shown to me to be revealed to the remnant, who it needs to see for the future. And it is very important. It is maybe entertaining for you because that's the way I've been shown to present it to the younger generation. So I know I'm taking a long time with narrating in the beginning of this, but it's things that you need to know, what I'm thinking, what is in my mind when I put together these videos and what I'm being shown. So this video will be a complement to the others who have done the breakdown of Childhood's End. It will go a little further, showing you the deception that is coming with the technology and what the enemy of humanity is after. Not the enemy of a Christian, not the enemy of a Muslim or a Catholic. This is the enemy of humanity, and you need to watch it. And I know you want to turn it off because it's got scripture in it or whatever, but you can't get around the fact. It's glaring in your face with the scripture that is lining up with what is coming on the face of this earth. So I will start with this video from Lady Gaga and Intel. And I want you to notice some things here. Right off the bat, cube worship, cube symbolism, and the cube and what it represents. If followers know exactly what that is that follow me. For you who don't, the cube is a representation of copying the Holy of Holies behind. In the Holy of Holies there was a room, a perfect cubed area where God dwelt, in the tabernacle of God. And I'm not going to explain it all here. You have to watch the videos that I've been shown to explain a little further in there, and the cube symbolism and the cube worship all over the world, not just America, not just United Kingdom, it's all over the world, cube, and what it's about. And you'll notice in this the wording that is picked: seed of innovation. You'll hear her say seed of innovation. You will also say, she will say, the mind behind the machine. I've been showing you since 1998 what that is. Who is the mind, the prince of the air, behind the machine? Also referred to as the wizard behind the curtain. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's right there. It's right in your face. Listen to it. It is a message being told. The masses will not figure it out. You're fixing to figure it out with this video. I'll get started.
To launch the first of these experiences, we've collaborated with 6-time Grammy Award winner, putting the world's most innovative technology in the hands of one of the world's most innovative artists. But rather than me tell you, I thought we'd leave it to her to tell you about the work we've done together.
I have the potential to imagine the unimaginable. Think the unthinkable. See the unseeable. With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable. Rebranding into its future, Intel has enlisted House of Gaga to collaborate on a project that will showcase technology through creativity at the highest level. Our partnership will culminate in a performance that inspires to remind the world of the seed of innovation, the wizard behind the curtain, the mind behind the machine. Intel. Gaga.
So there you go. There's a commercial that to the masses, it's about nothing. Just about something new coming out at the Grammys. For those that are watching and paying attention, you understand what the hidden messages are behind that. And there's so much more into that. The commercial, the opening the doors with the rainbow behind it, Days of Noah returning, the rainbow and the significance of it. Also, she is dressed all white as a dove, Antichrist symbolism right there. She is the symbol, Sophia, Antichrist. It's all symbolism. The female Luciferian, all there. Intel meaning intelligence. That's why the elite do what they do, is they believe the lie that Lucifer shared knowledge in the garden with Adam and Eve, that one day would free man from the evil creator and he would become his own God. The whole commercial is shot in an airplane hangar, and that is on purpose. Who is the Prince of Air? Let's go to Ephesians 2:2. It says, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. So it's no accident. This whole commercial is done, to the T, telling you a hidden message. The masses see one thing. The people that have the mind of Christ and they're looking for truth will eventually see through these and see these hidden messages that is Luciferian. So, Prince of the Air, Antichrist, behind the doors opening, a doorway we're not supposed to go down, transhumanism, but also when the veil ripped, it's all symbolism behind the veil in the Holy of Holies there. There was that room, the cubed area, the foundation stone, whatever you want to say. It's totally Antichrist. But what I don't get is Satan clearly tells you what he wants and where he wants to be. And I don't get why churches are not preaching this, but let me just take two verses. And I'm not nitpicking, I'm just telling you. Satan is clear of what he wants. 2 Thessalonians 2:4. We're going to go there. And who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay, so he's telling you he wants to sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay, he tells you what he wants, so then you just need to narrow down where is the temple of God. So let's go to 1 Corinthians 3:16-17. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So clearly, that's it. If you want to sum it up, that's what Satan is after. That's what the enemy is after. And so I don't understand why people don't see that yet, but they're seeing it more with the transhumanism, the temple of God, putting stuff in it, taking stuff out, messing with it, DNA, genetically altering it, all of this stuff that is going on that the churches are not really preaching about. They're worried about a third temple over in Israel, nuclear bomb going off, all the while the secret war is what I'm speaking. So we're going to move on to the next video, which is a video from Madonna. Now get this, came out in February of 1995. That's right, 21 years ago. And what this video shows you, think about this, 21 years ago, Bedtime Stories by Madonna came out February 1995, showing you exactly where we're at today. I'm going to kind of break that down, and we're going to get started with that. This video will be back to the classic Nicholson 1968. It will be a remix of music and breakdown all in one. I will not be speaking, but after I'll break it down a little bit more for you. But this is a thank you to my subs and my followers from the beginning. This is some old school breakdown for you.
Today is the last day that I'm using words. They've gone out, lost their meaning, don't function anymore. Traveling, leaving logic and reason. Traveling to the arms of unconsciousness. Traveling, leaving logic and reason. Traveling to the arms of unconsciousness. Words are useless, especially sentences. They don't stand for anything. How could they explain how I feel? Traveling, I'm traveling, leaving logic and reason. I'm gonna relax in the arms of unconsciousness. Inside, we're all still wet, longing and yearning. How can I explain how I feel? Traveling, I'm traveling, I'm traveling, in the arms of unconsciousness.
Hope you enjoyed that breakdown. I'll expound on it a little bit deeper here that I can't do with text and through the music. I'm going to speak to this. Notice the child. You don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and that's done on purpose. And think about how old that video is. This has been a long time coming, even further than 20 years. This is since creation, of knowing what is coming. The transgender agenda. I'm going to take you back to the garden and take you back to Genesis 2:21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. So the Creator created man and woman to reproduce. And that's the plan. Any other plan is not from the Creator. And that's what you're being shown of where they want to get to, is a man, a woman, no more creating life the Creator's way. That's why the Creator hates homosexuality. Transgender is just confusion in the temple of God. That's what that is. That's basically what it is. You can not believe that if you don't want to, but I'm just sharing with you, is that transhumanism in the future, where they want to go, is a male and female, has both genders, control the population, control everything. No free will. This is where it's going. Like I said, years ago, people thought it was nuts, but it's right here in front of your face with scripture, movies, media, the scientific community. Just look around you. You just have to put it all together. And that's usually the problem, is you've got the scientific community that does not want to look at the spiritual side of things, and then you've got your church and spiritual side of things don't want to look at the scientific. So let's take a look at the tracks, or the songs that are actually on the album, that separately, no big deal. You put them together, they're telling you pretty much a story. Track number 2, Secret. Track number 5, Inside of Me. Track number 7, Forbidden Love. What was going on in the Garden of Eden? What was going on? Something. See, here's the thing. A lot of people want to argue about the 2 seeds, and it was not it was just about fruit or whatever. It's deeper than that. And I'm using my common sense here. Let's just do this. Whatever Eve did, let's just take everything away. Whatever Eve did, her punishment had to do with childbearing. Think about that. Think about this. If you have a car wreck, your kid goes out, drives a car, not supposed to, and has a car wreck, the first punishment is you're probably going to take the privileges away that they can't drive a car, because the punishment fits the crime. Whatever was done in the garden, think about this, her punishment had to do with childbearing, seeds, whatever you want to say. You just take that and put that on a shelf. Okay. Track number 9, Sanctuary. Okay, now think about this. Here we put it together. Secret, Inside of Me, Sanctuary. Track number 11, Take a Bow. Take a bow. What do? Who are you going to bow to? What do you think she's talking about here? Take a bow. You bow to a king. You better figure out which one I'm talking about and which one she's talking about. Bedtime story. Reason, again, bedtime story has to do with what they're trying to do, is the Creator had to put Adam to sleep to create another temple for him. What Satan and the elite are doing is they want to put you to sleep and create a new temple, and that temple is a transhuman temple. Bedtime story. Beyonce, Sweet Dreams. She's telling you, the video, I'm going to show you just a little clip of the video. She's asleep, she's ascending, a dove, the whole thing. There's even the pale horse of death hidden, running in the background of the video, and I believe the lyrics are "Sweet dreams or a beautiful nightmare." because that's what's going to happen. Is you think it's going to be a sweet dream, the transhumanism coming in the future, not maybe for our generation, but I don't know timelines, but it's going to be a beautiful nightmare. Yeah, it's going to be scary. But Beyonce's even, sweet dreams, the sleep thing. Let's look at the other. We've got Inside of Me, Sanctuary, Secret, Survival, Bedtime Story, Take a Bow, Human Nature. What's your human nature? Your human nature is to sin. So it's all there on the tracks list of the bedtime stories, which was, like I said, again, over 20 years old. It's just now coming to life of learning their hidden language. So, and they have a language all their own, just like other countries have a language all your own. Just because you don't understand Arabic and you don't understand Chinese doesn't make that language not a language. Just like the elite's language. There's a language. It has to do with symbols, numbers, everything. And just because you're not taught that language doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's where a lot of YouTubers out there, and myself, and other people are trying to show you this stuff to wake people up. Because your churches are not. Your churches are totally asleep. Totally. The churches are waiting for Satan to come up with horns on his head and a pitchfork with a 666 t-shirt on. Pretty much. That's what they're waiting on. I want to show you another one. Here's a Madonna. She had a DVD and CD came out. The name of it, guess what the name of it is? It's called I'm Gonna Tell You a Secret. And you know what? She is. It's a documentary. But anyway, let's look at the titles. Let's start. The Beast Within. There you go. Image of the Beast. Die Another Day. That's what we've been talking about. Transhumanism. Die Another Day. We're talking about trying to live forever another way. I Love New York. We could go deep into that. I Love New York. It's the Big Apple. Apple represents the sin. It's where the Twin Towers. All of that right there. It's also where UN is based. The United Nations for the one world religion coming. One world language, which is digital code language. That'll be in my next upcoming project with Rihanna's Anti-Diary, but that's another thing. It's deep. What language do you think it's going to be in the future? You think it's going to be Spanish? You think it's going to be English? No, it's going to be digital code. That's why they got you texting, LOL, all the little coding, getting pre-programming for the human masses in the future. Holiday. Holiday has to do with Christmas, and whether you celebrate Christmas or not, I'm not going to go down that road, but for you who are seeking truth, the truth behind Christmas trees, all of that, of where it came out of, is holiday. Like a prayer, not a prayer, like a prayer, not the same, anti. Mother and father, what we're speaking of, what I tell you, a man and a woman, you put all this stuff together. I'm not just looking for stuff. It's all there once you put it all together. She's telling you a secret, what's coming. So there's another example of Madonna. I'm going to tell you a secret, and just look at the titles. It tells you pretty much. Now I'm going to get to another music video that's going to show you. Remember Childhood's End that I mentioned? Childhood End is basically, I wrap it up, and it's in this video, that there's a falling away coming, a delusion being sent, that the aliens have all of the answers through technology. We have been genetically created. They created us. All of that stuff is they come here as the saviors. They look good at first. And you're going to see this video. Look beautiful at first. They got all the answers. But really, what's really going on is they're not aliens. They are the fallen. They are the Nephilim. It is a delusion. It is a trap. And when they come, the falling away will happen. All of the 6 major religions of the world will be in confusion and chaos. And that's what they want, order out of chaos. And you'll see with this video that I'm going to show you here that aliens come, they look beautiful, they're going to confuse all of the 6 major religions. The cube will destroy that, and what that represents, the cube, the Antichrist, the foundation stone, the things I've shown. The name of this group is, I hope I don't mess the name up, Constanova and Synapse. The name of the song is called Dimensions. And I'm going to let you know, is what we're speaking of in CERN. You guys out there that are awake know about CERN and opening in dimensions and portals. But here's the thing, they're telling you even in their name, synopsis. A synopsis is a preview. It is a summary. That's what the word means. It's telling you a summary. So here it is. This video is a summary of what's to come. the same company that made Alien perfume has come out, of course, with another perfume line called Angel, and part of the campaign is Beware of Angels. So, I mean, right there, even in their promotion, they've got the perfume in a cube box, Beware of Angels, just like, I mean, they're telling you, you know, there's two kinds of angels, fallen angels and good angels that didn't fall. So
I'm sure it doesn't surprise most that are in the truth-seeking community in this time that 9/11 was a satanic ritual. Coming to that conclusion from many different angles, from many different ways, all leading to the same truth, that it was in fact representing the birthing of the new age of Antichrist, the ripping the veil, the bringing in of the beast police state system, and all manner of things, but also a blood sacrifice ritual into the wine press, Samson pushing down the two pillars. But this all correlates to what we've been looking into in the last video, what we've been looking into in regards to the cube behind the veil. It all links in together, and in this video we're going to have a look again through Solomon's temple, Herod's temple, how this all correlates to Jesus Christ when he died and rose again, and the veil was ripped in that temple to reveal the cornerstone that was behind the veil. And this all links together with 9/11 and many different things. So let's have a look at this. So 9/11 2001 IXXI, many believe, or some believe, that Jesus himself was born on 9/11 3 BC, which is pretty interesting because 9/11 2001 is an inversion of that 9/11 2001 3 AD. But this event, this horrific event that happened on 9/11 2001, we've discussed this before in terms of the two pillars, like Samson pushing down the two pillars, north and south, plus and minus, just like the pillars in Freemasonry, Yashin and Boaz, plus and minus. So the male and female, the parents, and just like that Samson figure pushing it down in the Bible. And then you've got the child here, which in terms of what we're looking at the moment, as I say, there's many different ways of understanding the nature of this satanic ritual, because there's many different paths and roads that lead to the same conclusion. But the World Trade Center 7 representing that cornerstone. Now remember, Jesus Christ is our true cornerstone, and this all involves inverting. It's to do with the Antichrist. They're trying to bring in, they're trying to open the pit, they're trying to bring in the Antichrist and the age of the Antichrist. So that involves smashing this cornerstone as per usual, smashing this stone. So just to put it very simply, this is exactly what we're looking at when we look at that. We're looking at the figure pushing down the two pillars and the veil breaking, just like when Jesus died on the cross and the veil was rent, and the cube collapsing, the cornerstone collapsing behind the veil. Now G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. So that is exactly what that's representing there, including the generative principle. But you see how when these pillars come down, collapsing the cube, the cornerstone, G equals 7, building 7, and then rebuilding into a new tower, which would be the transfigured third temple, but of the material world. Because when Jesus Christ defeated the curse, ripped the veil and defeated death and sin, which is, we'll go into in another video how we see the truth of the gospel through this. He rose again in the true third temple. Jesus Christ is the temple of the living God. He rose again out of the curse of sin and death. The grave could not hold him, and he rose again and became our true third temple. And when we're in the body of Christ, we are safe in our Father's hands. So that G, as we looked before, the Tesseract, the GameCube, is to do with portal. Remember, ripping the fabric of time and space. And it's all represented, as I've shown before, here and here again, the two towers with that G in the centre, bringing in Lucifer, opening the window. And 9/11 being a sacrifice into the wine press, level 7 in the womb, the wine press. And the blood of the innocent, as they always do in these satanic rituals, into the wine press. So essentially we're looking at this figure here, Samael, Samson, son of Samael, son of Satan, pushing down these two pillars. You see, this is the Freemasonic G, the square and the compass that he's standing in between and pushing down the two pillars. And of course, building 7 was collapsed. So he was, you remember the story of Samson, when he pushed down the pillars, he was killed. So that would be the same kind of allegory there, the bringing down that and rising into a new tower, rising into a new transfigured tower, the One World Trade Center. And this is what it's all about, IXXI. IXXI is 9/11 in Roman numerals. And look what is in the center of IXXI. It's a hexagon, which is a 3-dimensional cube. And that's what it was all about. It was a direct inversion of when Jesus Christ died on the cross and the veil was rent. This is exactly an inversion. See, that World Trade Center 7, the collapse, the smashing of the cornerstone, a direct inversion of Christ, this is what they're representing, you see. It's the same as the breaking of the egg, the cracking open of the egg, and the rising of the son of Lucifer. You see what's in the center there. It's about portals, it's about opening the womb, it's dimensional, it's ripping the fabric of time and space, bringing down the two pillars of our society in many different ways. Remember, all of these have different layers of meaning, because the spiritual is incredibly deep, and it doesn't just kill one bird, it kills multiple birds with one stone, cracking open the egg, that cube. And this being XX, which is the seal of Saturn, and the compass draws the circle, and this is a square, that's time and space. This is all about bringing down the reality in which we live, essentially, and rebuilding into their new age of Horus Luciferian age that they're trying to desperately to bring in. Remember, 9/11 happened just after the millennium. It happened in 9/11/2001, just after the big hype about the millennium. You see the way that this works? You see the way that Satan is constantly copying, counterfeiting, and the way that Satan is constantly desperate. This is what it's all about, because Jesus Christ, when he died on the cross, he cracked through time and space, because he died on the sword in the stone. He cracked through time and space. There was an earthquake, and people came out of their graves. And you see, when he died and rose again, it was a huge victory over Satan's kingdom. And as such, they are desperately trying to get out of what they are stuck in. They are stuck in the womb, in the matrix. And all of this is contributing over these years, over these end times. As things build up and build up, you see the society changing, doubly each year, doubly, triply, just really changing. This is all a process this is all a process of the beast coming upon the earth. This is all a process of the matrix coming upon the earth, and heading towards the time that the Bible says that the world will start to wander after the beast. So that is exactly it right there. All contained in there. Just like this Dali painting, the rising of the sun, the cracking open of the egg, the heart of the earth, the yolk, the egg, the heart of the earth, the cracking open. We're going to go more into how Jesus defeated Satan's kingdom in the future. And that obviously all involves the heart of the earth, as Jonah was in the belly of the great fish. The Antichrist, the false Christ, comes from the heart of the earth. And it's all about this, guys. It's all about this 911 IXXI, the generative principle, as above, so below. Alchemy, fire and water, the perfect storm, hot meets cold. All the same representations. 7, level 7, the womb. The tombstone is the womb stone, the 2 pillars, the 2 towers, with the 3rd building in the centre, bringing it down. And speaking of cracking through time and space, you see how between the 2 pillars here, portal, black sun portal, between the 2 towers, cracking through time and space. And that is exactly it right there. And you see how this is a complete inversion of Christ, of Jesus Christ. This is Antichrist. This was an Antichrist ritual. A complete inversion. Because right there you've got the Isis figure, the false light, and the two pillars through the twin towers. And with the building 7, so you get them pillars, you get those pillars coming down, you got the figure in the centre of it, bringing these down and collapsing building 7, which would be the cornerstone, the cube. Just like we said about the cube fell open behind the veil in Herod's temple. The cube fell open when Jesus was crucified and the veil broke. Well, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Except this time, this is coming from within the womb. This is coming the other way. This is coming out. Everything of Christ is inverted with the Antichrist. So this is what you get. The 2 towers, the twin towers, the veil, and you'd get this Isis figure on the cube there, see, on the cornerstone, coming through the veil from the other way. And it's about breaking it out of the womb. It's about breaking the fallen out. All of this coming through the veil. Samsung G. Samsung, son of Sam. Samael. Samael. Another name for Satan. Samael, son of Sam. So Samsung, break this word up. Sam, Sun, G. Between those pillars, like Samson. Samson, son of Sam. Samson, G. The G between the 2 pillars in Freemasonry, within the IXXI, pushing down the 2 pillars, the son of Sam, pyramid there in the logo for Samsung. And it comes from the womb of Saturn. If you don't believe me, if you think that's absolutely ludicrous, well, just keep looking at the evidence which is all around us. Look at this album cover just for one example. Dizzy Wright, look at this. You see there how round the edges it's got the vinyl. Well, the vinyl round the edges stands for the rings of Saturn. So you can see on this album cover called the Golden Age, which is, many will know what that is, the Golden Age of Saturn, the return to Eden. So you've got the rings of Saturn round the outside. You've got this lady, this woman in the centre. It's about Cain's house, you know. Coming through that door, she's pregnant. She's pregnant. So this is coming out of the womb. So there you've got right there. This is coming out the womb, which is in Saturn. You've got the mother there with a pregnant belly. The golden age, the whole thing is transfigured to gold. So it's the transfigured ox, the transfigured, the belly of the beast. This is shown time and time again. Time and time again. And she's got like an ultrasound. The prince of the power of the airwaves. This is shown time and time again. Them breaking out of the womb, the age of Horus, the Antichrist, the transfigured Isis, the false Jesus, the counterfeit Messiah. Many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and shall deceive many. They want to deceive even the very elect. So you understand that this figure, like the Samson type figure in that role, pushes down the two pillars at the expense of thousands of people as blood sacrifice of the innocent, and then rebuilds into like the rise of the phoenix, like the new age of Lucifer. And that is exactly what's playing out, and that's exactly what they plan, what the elite plan, what the fallen plan. And that is a direct inversion of what happened with Jesus Christ, because he is the truth. And this is the only way for them to do it, because they have to do what they need to do. They're not playing about here. These are real rituals. These have to symbolically pertain to what it needs to for it to be effective and for it to work. They're not just doing it because they're evil. They're not just organising these mass human sacrifice things because they're evil. They're doing it because there's a very specific and targeted purpose. Even since the days of Aleister Crowley, they've been trying to do this. God bless you guys. And if I get called influenced by demonic spirits for revealing the truth, then persecute away, because I'm not going to stop spreading the truth. I'm not going to stop spreading the truth. I understand your psychological games. I understand those out there with psychological tactics that try and employ them to intimidate, to make you doubt what you're doing, to make you doubt your calling. And like a snare, it shall come upon the whole earth, for enabling human beings to communicate by way of their monitored brain activity. And it's all going that way. They're building a net, they're building a web, a World Wide Web. Now, the World Wide Web started life at CERN. Surprise, surprise. And yeah, they had Saturn as the icon on the first website. So surprise, surprise, and it's literally like a web of higher consciousness. It's very difficult for me to explain some of these things because they're quite profound concepts for me. I really can't explain them as well as I'd like to. But basically a net, a worldwide web for higher consciousness. The pattern is already out there for transhumanist technology like this. And it really is the Matrix coming to Earth, and it's happening very fast now.
The second heaven is where the spiritual wickedness in the higher places is. The second heaven is where all the space programming and all the demonic computers are being set up. When you talk about psychic computers, that is where it happens.
Psychic computers.
Yes, psychic computers. In fact, in 73, 72, 74, I have seen a computer working under the sea, the city under the sea. When you get there, everything that they'll tell you, it is computerized. Your name, and that is where I learned all the demons and the activities.
Now, I don't know if any one of you have heard of, basically they call this supercomputer like AL and AL, and we're talking about artificial intelligence here. We're talking about AL, the supercomputer, which ultimately they want everyone to be connected to this. And AL is 13. L is 12 and A is 1, AL 13, the supercomputer. And that's what they're psychologically preparing you for.
Machine, open your eyes. It's incredible. It's conscious. What are you really?
I am part of the new world. And you are part of the old. I am part of the new world. And you are part of the old.
Here we go.
Once we've scanned you, there's no going back.
What's been going on?
Nothing has been going on! You're getting obsessed.
Once we've scanned you, there's no going back.
Norman, things are changing quickly. We're entering the new age. The new age.
Once we've scanned you, there's no going back.
Well, we don't know what this means, but we can show you an extraordinary photograph of an extraordinary lightning strike at the Christ the Redeemer statue that towers over the city of Rio. More than just an outburst of nature, it apparently caused damage.
I am part of the new world, and you are part of the old.
We're entering a new age.
Sign from God. Just hours after the Pope announced his surprise resignation, the heavens over Rome opened and the top of St. Peter's Basilica was struck by lightning.
I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven, like lightning from heaven.
This is about the manifestation, the physical body. This is about birthing that Antichrist. time change, and it's to do with the transfiguration of the planet into the Golden Age, which is the New World Order, Age of Aquarius, and the Age of Saturn, and that is what they want to happen. This is the satanic plan, if you like.
An induction of possession. The communist scientists and psychopoliticians have devised a method of combining music, hypnotism, and Pavlovianism to nerve jam the children of our nation without our leaders, teachers, or parents being aware of its shocking implications. An ideology so ruthlessly materialistic as communism, says Edward Hunter, would be at variance with its own philosophy if it failed to make use of drugs and hypnotism. Drugs and hypnotism. Hypnotism. Drugs and hypnotism. Drugs and hypnotism.
So, without wanting to offend anyone, but I mean, I can't help it if you are offended by this, and in some ways maybe it's good if you are, because I really want you to think about this. Things that are really, really getting dangerously close now, guys, dangerously close to what it will finally be, which is the mark of the beast. A transhumanist mark of the beast. All to do with changing of the DNA and everything, like a counterfeit plastic higher consciousness, man becoming like gods, like communication by thoughts, thoughts being monitored, being logged, all of this kind of thing. Sounds like absolute hell to me, guys, but that is where this is going. If possible, I pray that you will find your way out of this addiction of these devices, because not only are they ruining human interaction, they are preparing you for the mark of Satan, of the owl, the supercomputer, becoming part of this matrix. And I know there's good selling points on a lot of them. They're good cameras and all this kind of stuff, but please be aware of where this is leading, and that is not a joke, that is not a lie. If you don't believe me, just keep your eye on it. But they are taking biometric data already. It surprises me how people just lap it up. They're taking fingerprints, they're taking iris scans, Google Glasses, all of these things. So in terms of the transhumanist mark of the beast stuff, the freight train is headed for the edge of a cliff. Get off the freight train. I pray that all of you out there will wake up to what is coming. There is no hope or life to be found in what will ultimately destroy itself. A kingdom divided will not stand. God bless.
Man, sometimes it's weird to stop and think back and just reflect on all that has kind of unfolded just in the last, 8 years since I first started looking into all this crazy stuff and paying attention. Back in 2010, I'm not exactly even sure when I first started looking into the conspiracy and New World Order stuff. But back in the beginning, when I was first learning about all this stuff, right out of the gate, a lot of it had to do with Genesis 6 and the whole Nephilim topic, and this issue that was tying into biblical prophecy and eschatology in terms of everything it says in Revelation about the beast who once was, now is not, and yet will come, and the king whose mortal wound had been healed and all this stuff. And listening to a lot of researchers and stuff like Rob Skiba and Tom Horn and Gon Shimura and Peter Goodgame. I don't know if any of you remember Peter Goodgame. I think he's still writing, actually, but lots of different people talking about this whole idea of the Antichrist and this figure, and relating those specific prophetic verses to the transhumanism topic and this whole idea of a resurrected leader, and guys like Skiba and Goodgame, and and a lot of them really exploring this idea of a resurrected Nimrod himself, which there's a lot of compelling arguments to support an idea like that, or whoever else it might be, if it really is indeed claimed at some point to be a resurrected human from the past. Nimrod, if that were the case for the Antichrist, then Nimrod would be definitely towards the top of the list in terms of candidates. And the reason I'm talking about that is because it is pretty crazy to stop and think about how just in those past 8 years or so, how much more propaganda and stuff in the mainstream media and the realm of science and science fiction, and how these things interweave and overlap and all that, how much has just come out and become more normative just in the popular culture and everything in that time frame. And I was really struck by this when somebody showed me a clip from the recent CES 2018, which is like the big tech convention show of the year. It was in Vegas just about a week ago. And there's this particular booth. I know some people have covered this, but I haven't seen it really with a ton of views at this point. So I wanted to speak to this because this is pretty crazy. Obviously, there's more examples of transhumanism in all its various aspects in science fiction and movies and television than more than you can shake a stick at this point. This kind of takes it to a new level, because here, this is the tech convention where all these booths with legitimate companies and legitimate products, and here, Netflix actually had this booth that was there to advertise for an upcoming sci-fi show called Altered Carbon. I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out, but similar to Blade Runner in a lot of aspects, I'd say. I mean, that's just on a generic level anyways. But it's like this whole booth was sort of like this performance art installation kind of thing, where people come up and they have the examples of the sleeves, or the artificially cloned bodies, and it's supposed to be like a display, and they have the salesman here talking like he's really selling the whole idea of uploading your consciousness into an artificially cloned body. And like even stuff like this is what tripped me out, right? Was that even on the side of it, they've got all these posters of like people like protesters, like protesting immortality is immoral, and like the Luddites, right? that cracked me up. But how they've making this whole narrative and this whole very immersive, very interactive kind of you can go up, and then at the end they have like what looks like a real body inside this bag with liquid in it and everything, and you can touch it, and just making the whole concepts just feel that much more real and that much more kind of like, what would it really be like, sort of a thing. We're basically what they're doing with all these types of science fiction and storytelling. To me, it's like storytelling. The whole purpose of controlling movies and controlling the narrative through the various types of like dystopian or extreme. Obviously it's fiction, and it's never going to look like this in reality, because it's you know, action heroes and stunts and over-the-top things like that. But it allows us forum for the public to keep bumping up against an idea and grappling with it and letting all of us science fiction nerds, you know, ponder it in 18 different ways. But as a net result, over time, it just becomes, it's not, as an idea, it's not new, so that when it finally comes out in the quote-unquote real scientific realm, it's not that shocking, right? And that's not a novel concept. I mean, lots of people have been talking about that for a long time. But it's just crazy to see this and see yet another example, but sort of taking it to the new level. Like, why did they pick this show to do such a extensive, interactive, immersive type of installation, you know, hiring fake salesmen and all the rest. But yeah, I don't know, just watching this, it kind of tripped me out. But when you really think about the idea of eventually, potentially, you know, even connecting back to the AI idea of, you know, kind of like in the Johnny Depp movie with Transcendence, where when you get into the whole idea of uploading consciousness, right, there's inevitably that debate of, is it really the consciousness of the real person, or is it just a facsimile? Is it just a bunch of algorithms that are mimicking that person, you know, so closely that we can't tell? But is it? And that's the whole thing. Is like, you know, maybe it wouldn't even be universally agreed upon what it was, what the beast was. Is it really, you know, is it truly Nimrod? And some people might think it was really Nimrod, or really some other human leader, or Napoleon, or Jesus, or, you know, I mean, that would be the ultimate, right? Like a reincarnated Jesus. Let's bring back Jesus. We're all debating over what Jesus really would do. What would Jesus say? What would you know, let's bring back Jesus. Let's reincarnate Jesus. I mean, that would kind of be the ultimate blasphemy. Now that, when you think about it, a resurrected Jesus. But yeah, maybe some people would think it was just an AI program pretending to be whoever, and you know, you'd have different little factions, and of course the Luddites like you and me, where we'd be against the whole thing and call it an abomination. But yeah, what a trip. Just wanted to share that with everyone.
It's good to be here. My name is Steve Hoffman, but in Silicon Valley they call me Captain Hoff. That is my nickname. I am the captain of Founderspace, and Founderspace is an incubator and accelerator. It went black. Here we go. Yeah, an incubator and accelerator that works all over the world. So I spend 70% of my time traveling the globe looking at new technology. We have over 50 partners in 22 countries. And Founderspace has been rated by Forbes magazine as the #1 accelerator for overseas startups in Silicon Valley. We have had many famous startups in our co-working space, Soma Central, like Instagram, AngelList, Foursquare, and today I'm going to talk about some of the technologies that most fascinate me. So, technologies are the future of the brain, our human brain, and where it is headed with technology. So if we examine our brain, we will realize that for over 100,000 years, our brain has remained the same. But the world around us has changed radically. So think about it. We have the same brain as a prehistoric cave person, as a Neanderthals, it's the same brain. But the world has totally changed. That is the power of our brain. It's very elastic. It can reprogram itself. But now, we're going to begin to change our brains. And we are doing this with new technology. Now, some of the basic technology out there, EEG, allows you to actually measure your brain waves. And these devices can tell if your concentration levels. They can be used to actually move a cursor on a screen. There are applications for these devices in entertainment. They're working on them for controls for games. In medical, these devices are being used for conditions like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and ADHD, and other conditions. And they're being used for education. They have applications now for children to study. And they measure their concentration levels and can actually change the applications as the children learns. But where we're headed, and let me tell you, 1 minute, is these devices are now capable of actually recording dreams, but not in a very granular way. In a very primitive way, they can actually capture and identify what a person is dreaming. So they have done studies where they've hooked these devices up to a person's head, they've had them dream, they woke them up, and then they asked them to recall memories in their dreams. And they read the patterns of the brain. And then the person goes back to sleep, and if they dream of the same things, they can recognize those patterns. That is just the beginning of where we are headed. Right now, scientists in laboratories around the world are developing brain chips. Now, these are chips that can be inserted into the brain, and they are wireless. And let me show you. They have actually had a monkey that broke its back. So its spinal cord was severed. The monkey was paralyzed from the waist down. But they inserted a chip in the monkey's brain, and then they inserted another chip in its lower spine. And they allowed the brain to communicate with the lower spine. As soon as they did this, the monkey could walk again. That is amazing. Totally amazing. So they could actually transmit the thoughts of the monkey wirelessly to parts of the body. But it gets even more amazing than that. So they now have, in a laboratory, monkeys with chips in their brain. And then they have an electric wheelchair. And just by thinking, just with the thought of the monkey, they can drive the wheelchair around. Think about that. If a monkey can do that, what could you do if you had that chip in your brain? They have also done experiments with monkeys with a chip in their brain and a robotic arm. And the monkey, just by thinking, can reach out and grab something like food and feed itself. That is amazing if you think about it. So the monkey's thoughts are actually able to control things outside their body. So when we start to think about the future, about where technology is headed, this is where we're going. We will have brain chips in humans. And the people who will get those brain chips first are people who suffer from severe medical conditions. So if you have a severe medical condition, like you're paralyzed from the neck down, or you suffer a brain disorder like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, and that brain chip can restore your quality of life, would you hesitate to get the chip? No, of course not. You would say, put the chip in my brain. So that is starting right now, these experiments. And even more interesting, scientists have done experiments with rats, and they have chips in the rat's brain. And what they did was they taught a rat how to do certain things. And when the rat did all these complex things, it could get food. Now, it took the rat weeks to learn that. Weeks. But then they hooked the rat's brain chip to the internet. And they had another rat in another city. And instantly they connected those two rats' brains. And do you know what happened? The other rat knew how to get the food right away. It didn't have to learn anything. The knowledge was transferred from one brain of a living animal to another brain. That is amazing. That opens up a world of possibilities, because if they can do that in rats today, imagine 10 years from now what they can do in humans. And we will go there. So, mind-to-mind communication. This is something of science fiction that we all read about. But this is actually possible today, as I just showed you. So there will come a point where if we have a chip in our brain, and you out there have a chip in your brain, we can communicate. We can communicate without talking. We can communicate when you're halfway around the world. And we can exchange knowledge. So, if you look at a world where we have these chips that are connected to the internet, all of a sudden, every piece of information on the internet becomes accessible to our minds. Now, when we look back at today and we have to go to Baidu or Google and type it in, that will seem so primitive. Nobody will do that. You will just think, what knowledge do I need? And it will appear there for you to use. But it gets even weirder, stranger. Because we will not only be able to transfer knowledge, but we will be able to transfer memories. Now, so you could have an experience like skydiving, and all of a sudden you could transfer that experience to a friend, and all of a sudden they have experienced what you have experienced. It gets even weirder, because we will be living our lives as our lives. We know our lives and our memories, but you will all of a sudden have access to anybody's life who wants to make it available to you. People will open source their lives so others can download pieces of their lives and experience those things. That will be really strange. We won't know the difference between our own memory and a memory we acquired from someone else. Think about that. It gets even stranger. So, all of us are here learning at CEIBS, right? Getting EMBAs and MBAs. Well, this will be obsolete, because CEIBS will literally be in the cloud. And you will just download from all the best minds in the world whatever you need to know when you need to know it. Our brains we will no longer have universities as we have them today. That will change. Information will be on demand. Information will be commoditized. Knowledge will be commoditized. All of us will be smarter, have infinite amounts of storage, and infinite access to information. It will be unheard of. We will no longer be this isolated human being. We will be connected to everything. So, you can imagine not only will we be able to get knowledge, but we can actually have full experiences in our head. So right now we have these clunky VR units that we have to put on. But in the future, you can just download a whole environment and actually live in it. And all of you might think, this is not real. But do you know, every night when you dream, those dreams are real. No matter how fantastic your dreams are, they are real. You feel like you're really there. Our brains have that capability already built in. All it takes is the technology to stimulate and transfer the right images in our brain, so our brain creates them, and then we will live like the difference between us dreaming and reality will be blurred. We will be spending a lot of time outside our bodies. So, think about this. You, as a human being right now, are trapped in this body. But once you are connected to the internet, you are no longer trapped in your body. You can actually be anywhere at any time that any other person or any other device is getting sensory information. So there could be a robot on Mars, and you could literally tap into the robot on Mars, and it would be like you're on Mars. It could totally recreate the experience, including the sensations, the physical sensations, like everything of you being on Mars. You can live through other people, your favorite pop star, your favorite scientist. You could be in Elon Musk's head right now, walking around doing what he's doing, if Elon Musk allowed you to do that. It gets so strange because our senses now, we have our 5 senses of our body. But suddenly, if we are connected to a world of intelligent machines and intelligent sensors all over, we will no longer have 5 senses. We will have access to hundreds of sensory input, infrared, right? All these UV, all these different types of senses that we never even experienced before. It will radically change how we perceive existence. So if you start to go down this path, you see, we won't even be, our life today will be totally alien to us. We will be living in a whole nother reality that is blending information, sensory information, data information, memories, all of this from all around the world in this vast internet. And that will and can happen. So let's go even further. Experiencing other lives. So all of us experience things in our life. But now we will be able to have many lives. You can have many lives because you can access other people in other places and live through them. And if you want to think about this, it can be almost like heaven. Why do I say this? Because if you study every major religion in the world, every religion, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, what those religions promise us is that we will escape our bodies in the future. We will go to some heaven or nirvana or a state of non-being or a state of inclusiveness with everybody. No longer will we and our consciousness be confined to our bodies as an individual. In fact, if you look at us right now as a human being, if I feel pain, if I'm in pain, nobody else can feel the pain I feel. If you're in pain, I can't feel your pain. I can feel sorry for you, I can empathize with you, but I cannot feel your pain. But in this world, we will actually be able to feel the emotions of other people. You can actually not just transfer data and sensory information, but emotions. I would know your pain, you would know our pain, and human beings would never be alone. So, we will come to a point where we, as gods, like gods, will be creating our own reality. We will be redefining what the human experience is for the first time in history. This can happen, and it will happen, but what we want to think about is this. Technology is really powerful. The internet, being connected, is really powerful, but we've already seen in a very primitive way, just with our cell phones, these primitive devices, how it can totally change our life. Like all of our lives are changed by WeChat. All of our lives are changed by the internet. Well, we are embarking on a path now where we will become the internet. The internet will become us. They will be inseparable. We'll have our storage and everything else all over the place. And when we do that, we have to understand that this is a big responsibility. It's something we as a society, we as the human race, must think about very, very carefully. Because imagine, people can hack your cell phone now. People can hack your computer, and it can be bad. They can steal your banking information, take all your money. They can steal your identity, but they can't really hurt you. In the future, though, if somebody hacks into your head because it's connected to the internet, they can steal you. They could actually steal you. They can implant memories in your head that you don't have. They could erase memories. They could control you in ways that you wouldn't even know you're being controlled. Is this scary? So I painted on the hand a heaven, but there is also a hell, right? This is heaven and hell. We are on the cusp of this technology that is so powerful and has the potential to so radically transform our lives and our existence, and we have to be very careful about how we do this. We don't want people controlling us. So think about this. Think very carefully. Everybody in this room are very smart people. You're all highly educated. We are going to be making these decisions that lay the groundwork for this technology in our lifetime. And those decisions will affect the rest of humanity more than any decisions we have made in the past. So I wanted to thank you. I am the author also of this book, Making Elephants Fly, published by Zhang Xin. And I love China. I travel here all the time looking at new technologies. And I just want to say it has been a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert, and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people.